Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Seplowitz, and I'm a clinical psychologist and supervisor at Center for Anxiety's Manhattan location. Today, I want to dive into a topic that affects just about all of us in some way: anxiety. Now, I think when most of us think of anxiety, and I've asked this to many people, often the word that will come to mind is discomfort, avoidance, distress, bad, dysfunction. But here's the twist. Today, I want to explore how anxiety isn't necessarily a bad thing, and that in fact, it can actually be really helpful and result in significantly increased function, increased meaning in one's life, and overall well being. So, to start, I think it's important to point out that I don't believe that there's anything that I would call a good emotion or a bad emotion. Now, certainly there are some emotions that tend to be more comfortable and some that definitely tend to be a whole lot less comfortable. But each emotion that we have serves a very important purpose and function. Emotions motivate us for action, they communicate to and influence others, and they can give us a lot of information about a situation that's happening to us. So, for example, if I've lost something I value and I'm never going to get it back, it makes a lot of sense to feel sad. And despite the fact that sadness isn't a pleasant experience, it can alert and motivate me to engage meaningfully in my life in the situation that I'm in. So, in the case of sadness, it might motivate me to grieve or to replace what I've lost or to communicate a need for help or to problem solve and plan for rebuilding what it is that I've lost. And I think anxiety is the same way. Dr. David Rosmarin, who's the founder here at Center for Anxiety, recently wrote a book titled Thriving with Anxiety. The reason why I think this is such a great book title and topic is that it doesn't imply that anxiety is something bad that needs to be managed, navigated, or controlled. Now, maybe those things are true. I think in some cases it can get over the top and overwhelming, and we would benefit from strategies to, I think, manage our anxiety in some way. But I think it's important to point out that our starting point doesn't need to be anxiety being a negative experience or even neutral, but that it can be and often is and actually a positive thing. So I think to thrive with anxiety, the first step is to understand it. So anxiety is a natural response designed to keep us safe. Think of it as like your body's smoke alarm. It alerts us to potential dangers. So when we experience anxiety, our brain is just doing its job. It's just preparing us to face challenges. It's kind of like a built-in survival mechanism and releases adrenaline to give us that extra boost. Similarly to the way we described sadness earlier, anxiety or fear is appropriate when we're at risk or in danger of something, and it can be a powerful motivator to engage in fight or flight, as we know, to remove the threat, to avoid the threat, or to otherwise manage the threat appropriately. Now, anxiety, though, tends to usually refer to times when there's a fear response present without the presence of a strong stimulus of fear in our environment, which means that in that situation, the emotion of fear, or I should say anxiety, may be less justified then because there isn't really a strong rationale for the fear. So if it's less justified, what are some reasons why anxiety might still be a good thing? So I think first off, anxiety heightens our alertness and focus. It's like having a built-in radar for potential problems. Now, this heightened awareness can lead, I think, in many cases to better decision-making and problem solving. In fact, studies have found that students with test anxiety, in many cases, fare better on tests than students without any anxiety. Now, I think it's worth pointing out that it can get to a point where it's too much and overwhelming, and these statistics actually would change. But the point remains that anxiety in this case can absolutely be a good way to increase our motivation and to increase our focus to prepare for the task we are required to engage in this case, doing well on the test. So something we can ask ourselves is, in what ways is this anxiety pushing me to prepare or study or work harder? And I think in this way, anxiety can drive us to achieve things that we might not otherwise be able to achieve. Studies have also shown that during anxious moments, our brains become more active. And I think this increased brain activity can lead to creative solutions and innovative ideas. Another point worth emphasizing is that thriving with anxiety also means developing resilience. When we experience and face anxiety head on, it's an opportunity to build emotional strength and adaptability. Overcoming anxiety can be a profound source of personal growth in a way that we would not otherwise have been able to access without the anxiety. And I think this is a concept that goes beyond anxiety as well. When a person goes through a stressful or traumatic experience, most of us have heard that the result can sometimes be post-traumatic stress disorder. And I don't want to minimize that there can be real challenge and dysfunction that results from experiencing traumatic events. That being said, there's a much lesser known concept called post-traumatic growth, which is the idea that similar to thriving with anxiety, the stressors or traumatic events that a person experiences actually result by pushing through the psychological struggle, results in personal development and positive change through developing newfound strengths and a deeper understanding of ourselves, and I think ultimately makes us stronger and more resilient in the long run. And I think that this is a theme that can be applied to navigating daily life. Whatever it is we are dealing with, whether typical daily stressors, relationship challenges, trauma, and yes, anxiety, experiencing it without trying to push it away all the time, allowing it to be there and learning to appreciate it, to navigate it, and to work with it in a healthy way can actually help us transform into better, stronger, and more resilient people who are better equipped to face the challenges that inevitably face us each day.